Hey there, guys. So today I went to see this new Marvel movie called Venom. Now, when I was a kid, we're talking over 20 years ago, when I was really young, I always loved this character. This character, Venom, who this movie is based on, he was actually my favorite Marvel Comics character. I loved him from the 1994 Spider-Man series, which was my all-time favorite animated series of all time. And yeah, Venom was my favorite character in that series. And I also loved him from the comic books. I loved him from the 2000 Spider-Man video game. He was my favorite character in that game. I absolutely loved the character. Liked him in Ultimate Spider-Man. I was a real massive fan of the character. I always found the character fascinating. But as I got older, I kind of grew out of all that. And then, all the fanboyism and nostalgia, that stuff doesn't work on me anymore. Maybe several years ago it did, but it doesn't anymore. And I think that here in 2018, to make a Venom movie now, maybe if they'd made this movie 10, 15 years ago, I would have been excited about it. But I wasn't expecting much of it now in 2018, and I went to see it, guys. This movie was, where do I even begin? This movie was an absolute bloody sham. This movie was a mess. Like, I can try and break down for you guys. It'll take me a while, but I can try and break down for you guys the many things that were wrong with this movie, the many problems. First of all, now I'll get to the whole story and acting and stuff like that later on in the video. First of all, let's just talk about the technicalities of the movie. Just the cinematography and stuff like that, and how the movie looks. The special effects in this movie, the cinematography, the editing, the way the movie's put together is fucking atrocious. Like, this movie looks like shit. It sounds like shit. The movie's so flippin' loud. Every bloody scene, like, the character opens a cupboard and pulls out a packet of crisps and starts eating them and throws them in the bin, and it's just adding all these crazy over the top sound effects to try and make you disoriented. Every bloody scene has to have shaky cam, and what is it with Hollywood nowadays and adding shaky cam to these movies? I don't understand it. Okay, the Black Panther movie did the exact same thing. It was marred with choppy edits, terrible action sequences, and just over the top shaky cam. I thought I was watching Transformers the last night. If you guys have seen that movie, I mean, just that movie gave me a headache, and so did this movie. Shaky cam is terrible. I don't know why these Hollywood directors and these editors and these people who do these special effects, I've no idea why they keep using shaky cam. It makes no sense to me why they made it in the first place. It's just asinine. And I mean, well, I do know why they have it, because they have it to try and cover up the fact that these guys don't know how to do stunts, so they just add shaky cam to make it look like something's happening when really there's nothing happening. This is one of those movies. There's no stunt work in this movie. It's just all shaky cam and terrible CGI, and that's my next point. The CGI. Guys, how is it? Can somebody explain to me, how is it that Spider-Man 3, a movie from 2007, a movie that came out 11 years ago, more than a decade before this movie, how is it that that movie from 2007 has better CGI and better special effects and better cinematography, better camera work, better stunt work than this movie from 2018? How is that even possible? I mean, I thought that filmmaking and artwork and all that kind of thing was supposed to progress. I mean, as time goes on, I thought technology was supposed to get more advanced. The CGI in this movie looks as if it was made on a fucking laptop. I'm not even kidding. I could have probably made better special effects using bloody Microsoft PowerPoint. I don't know. I mean, it looked like absolute shit. The Venom character, the character model in the movie looked retarded. I mean, just the action sequences where he's jumping around, jumping on cars, biting people's heads off, but with no blood, because they needed to, they didn't want an R rating, which is fair enough. I got no issue with that. But if you don't want an R rating, why have the character biting people's heads off anyway? I mean, why even add that if you don't want an R rating? It makes no sense to me. But yeah, I mean, just they could have easily made it a PG-13 movie if they wanted to, but I mean, when I sat in the theater, it said that the movie was 15, and I don't really know why, because there isn't really any gore in the movie. I guess the fact that he uses profanity here and there, like towards the end of the movie, there's a bit of swearing. I guess that was why the movie went, made a 15 rating. But yeah, just horrible. The technicalities of the movie, the shaky cam, the choppy edits, terrible action sequences, terrible CGI, and the movie just looks like shit. It's a mess. It even sounds like shit. Um, Secondly, the acting and the story. Now, a lot of people, for whatever reason, I'm reading comments online. A lot of people seem to like the story of this movie, and they seem to like the acting, and they seem to think that it was a real fun, engaging plot and something different. Guys, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This movie was one of the most cliche movies I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding. This movie they might as well have just called it cliche. Like that's the word that I would use. That's the term that I would use to describe this movie. Everything that happens in this movie is stuff you've seen 1,000 times before. The characters are so copy and paste. It's fucking phenomenal. Like how they're able to get away with this shit in Hollywood. Like why people even pay to see these movies. I mean, this movie's so cliche and so copy and paste. It may as well have just been a fan fiction. It may as well have gone straight to DVD. I'm not even kidding. Like, let's talk about some of the characters. So you've got obviously Venom. He's Eddie Brock, who in the comics, by the way, and in the animated series, was a much more interesting character. Okay, far more complex, had a more complex backstory, had psychological issues like anger issues and whatnot, and anxiety, resentment, and the whole bond between him and the symbiote was played into a lot more and was explained a lot more in the comics and in the DVD, in the animated series and whatnot. In this movie, it's just like, oh, he for some reason, it doesn't even explain why. For some reason, the symbiote likes him and it chooses him to be its host. And yeah, you get no explanation why. You get no information. They have some dialogue early in the movie where the bad guy says, "Oh, when we do kidney transplants or liver transplants or whatever, it has to match. It has to be an equal size to the person that you're transplanting it to." But they don't actually explain at all the psychological or biological reasons for why the symbiote even wants to bond with Eddie Brock, whereas it can't bond with anybody else. Doesn't even make sense. It's like, I guess the symbiote just chose him for some reason. Um, yeah, and again, the characters, you've got the cliche love interest. I can't even remember the character's name. Who plays the Eddie Brock's ex-girlfriend, who plays the main love interest. I can't remember the character's name. Didn't give a shit about her. She didn't need to be in the movie. Like, absolutely no flipping reason to be there. Again, you had I don't even remember the character's name. I don't even remember the actress's name. Complete throwaway character. Did not need to be there. They had the cliche villain, he's like, as they always are in these movies. All these superhero movies have to have a cliche villain, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, had a cliche villain, like Iron Man 2 and even Iron Man 3. It's always some rich corporate guy who, runs a company and wants to do tests because he wants to take over the world, or he wants to colonize the world, or some stupid shit like that. They had this guy, he's like this again, I can't even remember the dude's name. He was like this corporate guy. He runs this company called Life, which is this like space company. They take organisms from space and they try and bond them to humans, this, that, and the other. Just a real boring, throwaway character. As soon as you're first introduced to the character, the symbiote's going to kill him towards the end, and that's going to be it. This character's not going to be significant. Just a cliche corporate money man, corporate villain that's just there to add some, just there to be an antagonist, just not interesting at all. Didn't give a shit about the character. The actor did a shit job. I mean, he was phoning in his performance. Again, I don't even remember the actor's name. I don't know who these actors are in this movie, but they were terrible. You had the cliche boss who fires him, who was basically just a cheap knockoff of J. Jonah Jameson, who, interestingly enough, J. Jonah Jameson's son, who was who was a big part of the whole Venom saga in the animated series and in the comics. He's in this movie for like 2 seconds. They kill him off at the start. You know, he's in fact, I don't even think he's alive in the movie. You just see his corpse, and he's just dead like that. You know, not even part of the story. And yeah, like I said, you have the corporate boss. He's just a J. Jonah Jameson ripoff, and he fires Eddie Brock, which was stolen from the comics. You had you had the cliche, the cliche hero. Eddie Brock. He's like trying to expose corruption, and he's trying to expose evil, but the whole time he's doing it while he's supposed to be the guy that you root for. But to me, he was just annoying. I mean, and it had all the problems that all the Marvel movies nowadays have, and this is what probably my biggest issue with the movie, and it's a big issue I have with so many movies, particularly these Marvel and DC, by the way, superhero movies, and that's forced humor. What the fuck is it with these movies and trying to be funny all the time? Can Marvel or DC never just make a serious movie? Like, can they never just make a movie, focus on the story, focus on the characters, actually develop these characters, actually have these characters act like real people, like rational people, instead of making jokes. I mean, like there's scenes in this movie, like Eddie Brock has been infected by this symbiote, he's been taken over by it, and he's making jokes. He's sitting there trying to be funny, and he's swearing and he's cursing, and he's there's a scene where like he goes into a restaurant and like he jumps into the lobster tank and he's like, oh, that's nice and cool, and then he picks up a live lobster and starts eating it, and I'm supposed to laugh at that? Like there's a scene where he's in the building, and the kind of the Venom alien is talking into his head, the symbiote, and it tells him to jump. And then in the next scene, he's going into an elevator, and then it's like pussy. And I'm like, come on, like this is just so new age. This is just so juvenile. Like the comics were never this juvenile. Like the animated series was never juvenile. Have you guys ever seen the '90s Spider-Man animated series that I mentioned earlier? Go and watch that series and watch the whole Venom saga, like all the episodes with him, and look at the character development. There was no jokes, there was no bullshit, there was no forced humor. It was a serious story. It was a mature story with mature characters, with interesting backstories, interesting dialogue, and some good life lessons. In this, it was just profanity, shaky cam, terrible CGI, and shit acting. Tom Hardy is a shit actor. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I know that you guys probably think he's hot. I mean, you probably think you see him as this big, muscular, like, good-looking guy, and you think, oh yeah, he could be in movies. Being a big, muscular, good-looking guy doesn't make you a great actor. I'm sorry. It's like when I saw the movie Red Sparrow, and I ranted about that movie on my channel. I did a review for that movie too. You can check it out if you want. But what I talked about in that review is I was talking about how, like, that whole movie was built on Jennifer Lawrence's tits. It was constantly showing her like in revealing clothing and all that, and it's like trying to keep the audience engaged because of the way she looks, and I'm like, that doesn't make her a great actress. That doesn't mean that she can act. That doesn't change the fact that her performance in the movie was fucking dreadful, and it's the same here. Tom Hardy is a shit actor. That fucking annoying voice that he does in every movie is like, you're not nothing now, are you? That stupid fake, that fake accent that he does, where he's trying to sound like he only half gives a shit when he's trying to be funny, and it's as if he's like phoning in the performance, and he was just terrible as Venom. You couldn't have picked a worse actor. And I thought that Topher Grace was a shit actor for Venom, which he was. He was a shit actor for Venom. Don't get that twisted. But Tom Hardy was even worse, man. I mean, just a real annoying character. Didn't like the character at all. So, and this was my favourite character from the comics. This was my favourite character when I was a kid from the animated series. So, yeah, this was a really, really bad movie. I'm glad that Rotten Tomatoes are not buying the bribes, because, Rotten Tomatoes usually fucking, like with the piece of shit Teen Titans movie, they gave it like 100% or something. I'm glad that they've seen this one for what it was, and that's a piece of shit. This movie got 28%. Well deserved. I'd say that's generous. I'd say probably about 20% is a bit more fair. Would I say it's worse than The Predator? Maybe, maybe not. At least with this one, I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't really know what's worse. I'd say which one would I rather watch again? I'd probably rather watch this again. But the movies like The Festival, The Predator, this, Red Sparrow. I mean, this has been a really bad year for movies. Movies like The Post. Movies this year have just been complete shit, and I think that I can see why less and less people go to the cinema. I mean, the only reason I go is because it's like, it's a date night for me and my girlfriend. We like to go to the cinema. We like to, go there, get something to drink in the bar, and just go and see a film. It's something we do. It's something we've always done our whole relationship. I mean, our first date we went to the cinema, so it's kind of like that for us. But these movies are shit, man, and it's really putting me off the cinema. So let me know what you guys think about this movie anyway, and thanks for watching.